Life can feel unbearably heavy at times. Loss, whether of a loved one, a relationship, or even a dream, has a way of shaking us to our core. It's as though the ground beneath us gives way, and we find ourselves standing in an emotional void, unsure of how to rebuild, how to move forward, or if we even can. Have you ever found yourself in that place, feeling like everything you once knew has been stripped away, and you're left with only the weight of grief? It's an all too familiar struggle, one that many of us face at some point in our lives. But here's something you might not realize. Even in the deepest pain, there is strength waiting to be found. The question isn't about whether we can avoid pain, but how we choose to respond to it. And that's where Stoicism has a lot to offer. In moments of loss, the Stoics teach us that it's not the loss itself that defines us, but how we choose to rebuild from it. The wisdom they impart reminds us that we have the power to shape our reactions, to find strength in the face of suffering, and to rebuild a life that reflects who we truly are, not just the pain we've endured. In this episode, we'll explore 10 lessons for finding strength after loss. Practical, Stoic-inspired insights that can guide you through the healing process. These are lessons not just for surviving grief, but for using it as a catalyst to rebuild your life with even greater purpose and resilience. But before we dive into the lessons, let me share a story that might feel all too familiar, but one that carries an important lesson. There was a man named Jack who had always been the pillar of strength for his family. He worked hard, provided for his loved ones, and always seemed to have everything under control. But when his wife Mary passed away suddenly, Jack was lost. His foundation seemed to crumble beneath him, and he found himself adrift in a sea of sorrow. For weeks, he barely left the house. The weight of the loss made him question if he would ever feel whole again. One day, as Jack was sorting through Mary's belongings, he found a small note she had written for him years ago. On it, she had written, "When life gets heavy, remember that you have the strength to carry what matters. Keep moving forward, and I'll always be with you." That note, though simple, became Jack's turning point. It reminded him that while grief would always be a part of him, it didn't have to consume him. He could carry the love and the memories without allowing the sorrow to weigh him down. It was then that Jack decided to rebuild, not just his life but his purpose. He began taking small steps forward, finding new ways to live with intention and resilience. The lesson: even in the darkest moments, we have the power to rebuild. It doesn't happen all at once, and it's not always easy, but it starts with a decision to move forward, to embrace what we can control, and to use our pain as a source of strength. So if you're facing loss, or simply looking for a way to rebuild after hardship, this episode is for you. Let's dive into the lessons that can help guide you through the toughest of times and remind you that strength can emerge from even the deepest pain. 1. Accept what you cannot change. Have you ever tried to change something only to realize that no matter how hard you tried, it simply wasn't within your control? Whether it's the end of a relationship, the death of a loved one, or the loss of a dream, we all encounter moments when life takes us down a path we didn't choose. It's in these moments that the struggle often begins, not because we don't want to heal, but because we refuse to accept that which we cannot change. In the face of loss, the first instinct is often to fight it. We want to change the past, bring back what's gone, or control the future in an attempt to avoid further pain. But this fight, this resistance, only causes more suffering. The Stoics understood this truth more than 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the moment we accept what we cannot change, we stop fighting and start moving forward. Acceptance isn't about giving up or resigning ourselves to misery. It's about acknowledging reality as it is, without denial or resistance. When we resist, we stay stuck, bound to the past or to a future that may never come. Acceptance allows us to let go of the what-ifs and the whys, and focus on what is within our control, how we choose to respond. Think about the pain you might be carrying. Is there something in your life that you're still fighting to change, even though you know it's beyond your control? Maybe it's a difficult breakup, the loss of a job, or the death of a loved one. The Stoic approach is simple. Accept the situation for what it is, and then ask yourself, what can I control? The truth is, we can't control other people. We can't control the past, and we certainly can't change the fact that loss is a part of life. But we can control how we respond to it. We can choose to move forward, to honor the memory of what we've lost, and to build a new path. By accepting what we cannot change, we free ourselves from the weight of resistance and give ourselves the opportunity to heal. It's important to understand that acceptance is not weakness. It's not about letting life happen to you. It's about acknowledging the truth of your situation and deciding how you will face it. For example, after losing his wife, Jack didn't let his grief define him. He accepted her death, understood that it was beyond his control, and shifted his focus to how he could live with that loss. This doesn't mean forgetting, but it does mean not letting the past dictate your future. The process of acceptance takes time, and it's normal to struggle with it. But the first step is the most important: to stop resisting what is. Only then can we begin to focus on what we can change and rebuild the strength to move forward. Need for connection. When we're faced with loss, it's easy to want to retreat inward, to isolate ourselves from others, and to shield ourselves from further pain. But the truth is, we weren't meant to go through life alone, and during times of hardship, it's more important than ever to lean on the support of those who care about us. Loss can feel like a weight too heavy to bear on our own, but here's the reality. No one expects you to carry that burden by yourself. In fact, isolating yourself only makes the healing process harder. It's in connection, whether with family, friends, or even a support group, that we find the strength to keep going. Surrounding ourselves with people who uplift and support us helps to create a safety net when life feels uncertain. The Stoics taught the importance of community and meaningful relationships. While they emphasized inner strength and self-reliance, they also acknowledged that we are social beings, and it is natural to seek connection with others. Marcus Aurelius, for example, wrote, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bees." In other words, we cannot thrive alone. We need others to help us, to support us, and to encourage us to keep moving forward. Think about it. During times of loss, who do you turn to? Who makes you feel seen, heard, and understood? Those are the people you need to surround yourself with. It's tempting to think that we should carry our pain in silence, to bottle it up and protect ourselves from vulnerability. But the healing process requires us to be open and honest. Take, for example, Sarah, who recently lost her father. For weeks, she tried to deal with her grief alone. She went through the motions of life, but her heart felt heavy, and she couldn't shake the sadness. Then, one day, a close friend reached out to her, asking if she wanted to talk. At first, Sarah hesitated. She didn't want to burden anyone with her pain. But she eventually opened up, and in that conversation, she felt a weight lift off her chest. She realized that by sharing her feelings, she wasn't just leaning on her friend, she was healing. That moment reminded her that true strength comes not from doing everything alone, but from allowing others to walk with you through the hard times. When you seek supportive connections, you're not just asking for help, you're giving others the chance to show up for you. It's a mutual exchange, one that strengthens both parties. You may not realize it, but those around you want to support you. They want to help you heal, and they want to be part of your journey toward recovery. The key is to allow them to do so. Self-discipline isn't just about keeping things to yourself and pushing through the pain. It's about recognizing when to ask for help, when to accept the support that's offered, and when to allow others to be part of your healing process. Seeking support doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. As you move forward in your journey of healing, remember that you don't have to do it alone. Whether it's a friend, a family member, a therapist, or a community group, find people who can help you carry the weight, who can listen when you need to speak, and who can remind you that you're not alone. Their strength can become yours, and together, you'll find the courage to rebuild. Embrace solitude for self-reflection. In a world filled with constant noise and distractions, it's easy to forget the value of solitude. We're so used to being surrounded by people, social media, and 1,000 things demanding our attention that we often forget how important it is to be alone with our thoughts. After a loss, the temptation to drown out the pain by staying busy or engaging with others can be strong. But here's something that many overlook. Solitude is not isolation. It's a space for healing, growth, and self-discovery. Stoic philosophy teaches us the importance of self-reflection. The Stoics believed that true wisdom and strength come from knowing ourselves, and this requires time spent in solitude. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, often retreated inward, asking himself difficult questions and challenging his own thoughts. He understood that to grow stronger, he needed to spend time alone, reflecting on his actions, beliefs, and the world around him. Solitude allowed him to connect with his inner self and find clarity amid external chaos. So why is solitude so crucial during times of loss? Grief can make us feel lost, disconnected from the world, and unsure of who we are without what we've lost. The noise of life can often drown out the quiet voice inside us that needs to process, reflect, and heal. When we allow ourselves time alone, we create the space for self-reflection, the opportunity to understand our feelings, to sit with the discomfort, and to begin the process of finding our footing again. Think of solitude as a time to recharge your mental and emotional batteries. It's not about being alone because you're avoiding others or isolating yourself. It's about creating the space to reconnect with yourself. This is where true healing begins. It's in solitude that we confront our deepest feelings, uncover new insights about ourselves, and begin to rebuild the strength needed to move forward. Take the example of Jason, who lost his job and felt his entire sense of identity crumble. For weeks, he filled his time with constant socializing, avoiding being alone because it meant facing the reality of his feelings. But one weekend, feeling utterly exhausted, he took a day off from everything and went hiking alone in nature. It was during that hike that he found the clarity he'd been missing. With no distractions, he was able to reflect on his life, his values, and the next steps forward. He realized that his identity was not tied to his job, and that he had the ability to redefine what success meant for him. It was in that moment of solitude that Jason found the courage to move forward with a new sense of purpose. Solitude doesn't mean withdrawing from the world. It means giving yourself the permission to pause, reflect, and listen to your inner voice. It's a practice of self-care and self-awareness that allows you to process your emotions without the constant influence of external pressures. In solitude, you can find clarity about what truly matters, and you can begin to understand how you want to move forward from your loss. As you work through grief or hardship, embrace the moments of solitude. Use them not to isolate yourself, but to reflect on who you are and who you want to become. It's in this space of quiet contemplation that you'll find the strength to heal, grow, and continue your journey with renewed clarity and purpose. If this content resonates with you, do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel to keep getting fresh pieces of content from the Citadel. Gratitude doesn't erase grief. It enriches your life, helping you find a sense of peace amid the chaos. Each day, take a moment to reflect on what you're grateful for. It doesn't matter how small the things may seem. Start with what's in front of you: your health, your relationships, your ability to breathe. Gradually, you'll find that gratitude doesn't just change your perspective. It changes the way you experience the world, helping you move forward with strength and grace. Gratitude is a reminder that even in the toughest moments, there is still beauty, there is still love, and there is still light. It's a practice that can guide you back to yourself, back to life, and back to the strength you may have forgotten you had. Build mental strength. Grief can feel like a weight that drags you down, sometimes making even the smallest tasks feel insurmountable. It's easy to feel as though you don't have the mental strength to push through the day, or the energy to carry on with your goals. But here's the truth. Mental strength is something you can build. It's not an innate trait reserved for a lucky few. It's a skill that can be developed, practiced, and strengthened over time. The Stoics were masters of mental fortitude. They understood that while we can't always control external events, we always have control over how we respond. Mental strength isn't about being unaffected by pain or hardship. It's about learning to face adversity with resilience, to withstand the emotional storms, and to keep moving forward even when the path feels unclear. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Our minds have a tendency to amplify fear, anxiety, and grief, to project worst-case scenarios onto the future. But in reality, we can control how we engage with those thoughts. Mental strength involves training your mind to challenge those fears, to confront your pain, and to push through with resilience. Think about how your mind reacts when you face a challenge. Do you feel paralyzed, as if you can't move forward? Or do you find a way to take small steps toward healing, no matter how hard it is? Building mental strength doesn't happen in one moment. It's cultivated through consistent effort. It's about building habits that keep you mentally sharp, emotionally resilient, and able to handle life's challenges. Consider journaling, a powerful practice for mental strength. Writing helps you process your emotions, release the thoughts that weigh you down, and gain clarity. Start by writing down your feelings, your struggles, and your victories, no matter how small. Through this process, you learn to understand your emotions, find patterns in your thinking, and begin to take control of your mental space. Another powerful tool for building mental strength is setting daily intentions. Every morning, take a moment to set a simple goal for the day. It could be as small as completing a task you've been avoiding, or as significant as making time for self-care. These small wins add up, and with each accomplishment, you build confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Over time, this practice strengthens your mental resilience and helps you stay grounded, even in moments of pain. One of the most important aspects of mental strength is the ability to embrace challenges instead of avoiding them. Life will continue to present difficulties, but it's how we face those challenges that defines us. When you encounter a setback, don't shy away from it. Embrace it as an opportunity to build resilience. As the Stoics taught, the obstacle is the way. The struggles we face are not in our way. They are the way. They are the path that leads us to growth, to wisdom, and to greater mental strength. To build your mental strength, commit to pushing through discomfort. Whether it's facing an emotional challenge, confronting a fear, or dealing with a difficult situation, each time you choose to face adversity head-on, you strengthen your mind. Mental strength is about showing up even when you don't feel like it, and using each challenge as an opportunity to grow. Find meaning in pain. It's often said that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. When we face loss, grief, or any form of hardship, the pain feels overwhelming. It feels like it will never end. The truth is, pain is an inescapable part of life. But how we interpret and respond to that pain shapes who we become. Seneca famously said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Pain can and often does shape us into stronger, wiser individuals, if we allow it to. Finding meaning in pain isn't about denying the hurt. It's about understanding that this pain is part of a larger journey. It's about recognizing that through hardship, we have the chance to grow, to evolve, and to become more aligned with who we're meant to be. When you find meaning in your pain, you reclaim your power. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance, and start seeing yourself as someone who has the strength to turn adversity into growth. Pain no longer defines you. It becomes a stepping stone to something greater. As we wrap up, take a moment to reflect on these lessons. Each one is a tool to help you not just survive after loss, but to rebuild your life with greater strength, purpose, and resilience. Life will always bring challenges, but with acceptance, patience, daily routines, and the right mindset, you can find a way through even the darkest times. Healing isn't linear, but with each step forward, no matter how small, you're making progress. As we wrap up today's discussion, remember that grief, hardship, and pain are universal experiences, but they don't have to define you. The journey forward isn't about forgetting your pain, but about learning to carry it differently. Gratitude is a powerful tool to shift your focus from what's lost to what still remains. Even in your darkest moments, there is something worth appreciating. Mental strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one small step at a time. By facing challenges instead of avoiding them, by embracing setbacks as opportunities for growth, and by choosing to show up every day, you strengthen your resilience. Pain, as difficult as it is, can be a teacher, helping you discover new strength, deeper wisdom, and a renewed sense of purpose. Healing isn't linear, and some days will be harder than others. But each day you choose to take even a small step forward, you reclaim your power. You are stronger than you think, and you have the ability to rebuild your life with purpose and resilience. If you found today's message meaningful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps spread this message to others who may need it. And most importantly, take one small action today to reinforce your growth. You are not alone in this journey. Stay strong, stay grounded, and keep moving forward. Until next time.